Well, hello there, Battlefielders. What is going on, guys? My name is Poe, and welcome to my channel. If you guys enjoy everything that is Battlefield, want a lot of Battlefield 1 content, sniping, and all the good news that you need, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's free. You'll love it. Come back. So, today, I want to talk about all the information that I've gathered on these new elite classes. There's 3 of them that we know about so far, and they have a lot of cool things to share about them. I'm going to break them down individually, but I want to talk about some more general interesting news about them in the first place. Starting with, obviously, the big one. They are on-map pickups. So if you want to get that flamethrower out, you got to go to the location, fight over that location, and then, of course, change the wardrobe. Going a step further, I believe that these elite classes are also set on assigned location, so they're not randomized. I feel like these are going to be generated hotspots on a map. These are going to be places and locations that people are going to migrate to fight over these stronger soldiers. And this is kind of exciting, and the reason I have this theory is because during the live stream, one of the commentators mentioned the likelihood of seeing a tank hunter in use with Slim because the location of this particular elite class was way out in the distance, far away from the objectives, which meant there was less chance for them to go to that area, retrieve it, and then run all the way back across Sinai Desert. So finding the locations for each and every map, which is something I will do, and I will put a video together if this is exactly how it rolls out to help you guys when the game first comes out, is going to be essential. So you always know where to worry about the first threat of the tank hunter or where the flamethrower guys are going to come from, because you're going to have to handle those particular areas, those hotspots, with care and concern. So that aside, let's start breaking down what we know about these particular elite classes. Now, we know each of them have their own counters. They're not just these rip-ass characters and soldiers that are thrown into the mix, right? They have their limitations and their weaknesses. First on our list is the Flametrooper. This is the one that we know the most about. We've seen gameplay of. We've seen a lot of him in the trailer. This is the guy that has a really interesting kit and probably the most exotic of all of them. Now, let's run down the checklist real quick. Flamethrower, check. Gas mask, check. Flame-resistant armor, check. So this guy is built around avoiding chemical situations. He's not worrying about fire, but he's able to deal out a lot of hurt in small confined areas. This guy is ideal to clear out trenches and small buildings. That's what he was designed and orchestrated to be. But he also has weaknesses. As great a strength as having that gas mask on, it is a permanent fixture to this elite class. You can't take it off, which means you're always going to have limited visuals, and that's not always the greatest thing in the world to have. Let's talk about his weaknesses and what we learned from the stream. Now, number one, and I only saw this from the actual first-person perspective, but it felt like the fire did not have the kind of range that you would like it to have. It felt like it capped out around 10, maybe 15 meters. And it's hard to gauge, of course, from first person, but that is not a very long distance to cover. Especially seeing as how he's reportedly moving slower than your average soldier, which means if you're outside of his flame radius, you're going to be able to outrun him. Hell, potentially run backwards and still drop mags into the guy, which means he does have a pretty distinct weakness, and he's pretty much going to be one of these characters that you're going to need to be smart and stealthy with, or you're going to completely waste the entire elite class while you have them. Another thing worth noting is if burning arm hair isn't your thing, you can also set things like buildings on fire. Now, I don't know if this means if I can set a building on fire and somebody grazes across this building, they can get set or get hurt as well. I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting if this character can work in a defensive manner. So, say we're protecting an objective or an MCOM or something, and I just line the floor with fire and make sure nobody can pass it. That would be a pretty cool aspect to have. That aside, something that I noticed is he had a really slow time to kill with direct flames. Now, I do believe you could set things on fire, obviously have your tick damage, your damage over time, your dot damage, if you will. And because of this, you can kill probably a lot of people by just spraying and waving back and forth, right? But if we're talking about killing the guy with direct fire, it was a very slow time to kill from the display that we saw in the live stream. I would say it took him about 5 seconds to kill a guy. And this is very interesting for a few different reasons. Number one, 5 seconds is going to give the guy that you're trying to set on fire enough time to drop a mag, reload, and drop another mag. You're going to be receiving a lot of damage while you're trying to cremate that guy. So keep in mind that it's not very easy to use as a direct target. This is basically meant to clear out waves of people, so 1v1ing somebody is not the greatest situation to put yourself into with him. My final note on the Flametrooper is the flames themselves. Now, one of the main reasons I think that time to kill was like a whole whopping 5 seconds was because the flames really do block your vision. So while you're sitting there spraying waves and trying to locate the guy, you're also blocking your own vision from knowing exactly where he is standing. That is very complicating. And, of course, when you do pull that trigger and you do start sending out the bursts and the dragon breath, you gotta keep in mind that this is a big alert to everybody else in the game that, hey, I'm a Flametrooper, hear me roar. Everybody's gonna know where you are, which means then they have the choice to run away or B, equip some sunscreen and come take you down. So this is very interesting. There's a lot of weaknesses. Range, of course, he could be hit and taken down by bullets, by grenades, and everything else. And it is substantial, the threats that he has against him. So, him aside, we're going to move on to the next one. This is the Sentry. Now, this guy's cool, man, right? He's a knight in World War I times. Completely decked out in full armor. Able to deflect shots with his face. I mean, Iron Man who? This is pretty cool. He's got a very, very large, heavy machine gun. Big emphasis on heavy, which means he's going to move very slow. They call him a walking tank because that is the mobility that he has allotted to him. This aside, this gun is able to shred through enemies. We saw a little glimpse of him during the most recent Gamescom trailer. He actually took out a couple dudes and a horse. Now, it may not seem exciting, but horses actually have increased health, and the quickness that he took that down was pretty impressive. So, not to mention his gun is water cooled, so this thing is designed to be able to suppress and spray for long periods of time without ever having to worry about overheating. Another thing worth noting is from what I've heard, he's only capable of hip firing. This is a behemoth of a weapon. It's not something that you can really bring up to your face and be like, yo, I got this. So this is one weakness and one flaw in the design, which is necessary because as it stands, this guy already seems more impressive and decorated than the Flametrooper. Yeah, of course, flames are fun, but you gotta keep in mind that this guy is gonna be just as effective in the ranges and the area of lethality that the Flametrooper is, but he has bullets, which means he can hit things with further distances. So I honestly think that this guy is already more impressive than the Flametrooper. Pushing this aside, the final and last one, which we have very limited information on, is the Tank Hunter. This guy has a very, very, very large sniper rifle, capable of disabling tanks, killing people in armor. And of course, I expect this thing to one-shot any actual soldier anywhere on the body. I am predicting it, I am calling it now. Now, what we do know about this particular sniper rifle, it is very large, so I expect this guy to have limited mobility like the other two elite classes. It stands as tall as an actual human does, and it's got some weight behind it. It's going to be very hard to lug this thing across the map, and if you've ever had to try to hide a body, you know how hard that honestly is. So, what I want to mention is it's got a very slow reload speed, so it being a one-shot even to the toe is not really that big of a deal if he's got a very slow rate of fire because these are single-fed shots that he's putting out, and keep in mind that this guy didn't look like he had any armor. We only have an image of him so far, so I feel like you could still probably counter-snipe him. It's just easier for him to kill you because he could probably go anywhere to the body against other infantry. That aside, you are designed to go for things like the tracks of tanks to disable them, so this guy is going to be capable of helping you in certain heavy armor situations, and this is pretty cool. Alongside this, we also know that you have to be prone to use this. So you gotta be in the open, you gotta be vulnerable, you gotta be up on a hill, you gotta be on the outskirts. It's not designed for aggressive recon play, and this is definitely one of those things they wanted to make sure people couldn't use it like. Now, I do believe that you should be able to crouch and use this thing in Windows as well. It's gotta be one of those bipod features, very much like the Assault class had with the anti-tank cannon. You kinda need to be rooted in one place to take out any of that armor, or even use the weapon in the first place. So this is what we know. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is what I've gathered through my experiences and watching things going on through Gamescom. I've been really, really satisfied with these. I was really worried that these elite classes would be extremely overpowered. I do think they will influence a certain team, but I don't think they're going to be so game-breaking it's ridiculous. I saw the Sentry be taken out with a grenade. So you can do some things, focus their weaknesses. Keep in mind a lot of them have limitations towards distance. They have weaknesses like the Sentry to gas because he doesn't have the gas mask, but he also looked like he had full armor on the front, which means you could probably shoot him in the back and do some cool things. So obviously when this game comes out, the beta comes out, I will definitely revisit this topic and teach you the best ways to take these guys down. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up. It means a lot. It helps the channel grow. And subscribe if you guys are new here. I got another Battlefield video coming at you later tonight. Take care, guys.